Welcome to another in the series of Glasgow Wants to Know. Tonight we're going to talk about gasoline prices here in Glasgow and in other cities near here, and perhaps some like Lexington or Louisville. We will replay this program on Tuesday, that's tomorrow, March the 16th at 5:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. It will also be replayed on Thursday, March the 18th at 5:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. on Channel 49 and Cable Ready 71. Our guests tonight are Bill Winegar, who is the distributor for Phillips 66 in this area, and Bobby Goodman, who is a retired employee of Ashland Oil. I'm not going to tell you how long he worked for them, but I do know that before he worked for them, he worked for Sewell Harlan Central Oil. So he was in the oil business a long time. We will begin tonight, I think, by talking about refineries, because we're not going to get into gasoline without refineries. There used to be, and I don't know whether this is still true or not, but there used to be a refinery in the vicinity of Horse Cave that was operated by Afro-American. It was a small refinery, but he did refine considerable amount of gasoline and had no problem distributing it. I think there's still a refinery in Somerset, and of course there is a refinery in Ashland. Are there any other refineries in the state, Bobby?
No, but I can tell you a little bit when you're ready about another one that was here.
Well, let's hear it.
No, okay. It's just an hour program, isn't it?
Oh, that's right, but it won't. I realize that you are sort of verbose at times, but I'll interrupt you if you get carried away.
It started already. When I started with Sewell Harlan that you mentioned, it had only been with Shell for about 3 years, and it had been the Glasgow Oil and Refining Company before that at this same place on West Main where now the Ashland bulk plant is. So I started out there in 1936. And speaking of refineries, Somerset Refinery is one of the largest gathering points for crude oil in the state of Kentucky other than Ashland Oil. So this is a great crude oil and refining section. The little one at Horse Cave was a fellow named Roger Woodson, and he did have a small what they call cracking plant, and it operated, but it pinged rather loudly.
But the one in Somerset is still in operation.
Very much so. Sells a lot of stuff. Yes, sir.
Now, where do you get your gasoline? That is, where is the refinery that does your gasoline, Bill?
Well, our product comes out of the Nashville terminals, which is brought by the Williams Brothers pipelines up from Texas. Phillips has refineries in Borger, Texas, and Sweeney, Texas, which supplies our areas.
Now, Bobby, do you know, other than the Ashland refinery, where, for instance, Standard comes from?
No, really, of course, Standard today is Chevron, and it's a California based company, so I really think that I really don't know where their refineries are. No.
Do you, Bill, know where some of the other products that come in here, what refineries make them?
No, I don't. There's Marathon has one at Robinson, Illinois. Really, the refineries in our area are not as important as, say, perhaps where the terminals are in the pipelines that feed these. I'm not real up to date on pipeline distribution, or I never have worked in that field. But it's my understanding that the gasoline comes through the pipelines. Each company will either lease or own part of a pipeline, like the Williams Brothers pipeline, which is a conglomerate of many of the oil companies together that built this. All right, the gasoline is put in the pipeline, say at Phillips's Borger, Texas refinery, and brought then on up, and each terminal along the way will take off so much product out of that pipeline. At Nashville, like you've got the Kerr-McGee terminal, the Citgo terminal, and various terminals on this pipeline that pull product off. Phillips does not have a terminal in Nashville. They are on what you call an exchange program. So the gasoline that is coming up through the pipeline there is pulled off at the Kerr-McGee terminal. And then we send our drivers in there and pick it up, the product out of the Kerr-McGee terminal, not a Phillips 66 terminal. And it becomes Phillips 66 gasoline when the driver has a card that looks just like a credit card, and he sticks it in and activates the computers to release the product into the transport trucks. This is when the additives are added to the product to make it the Phillips 66 gasoline and the coloring that is required by Phillips 66. Each company has to supply these exchange terminals. Phillips has to go in and put in this additive system in the Kerr-McGee terminal, and this costs $50,000 to $60,000 just to install the additive system at the terminals.
What other companies, if you know, use the Kerr-McGee terminal? Most of them that receive gasoline here. Bobby is nodding his head. Is that correct, Bobby?
That was correct back in the dark ages. See, I've been out of this 15 years. But that exchange that he mentioned was the name of the game at that time, and I assume that it still is. It makes sense. Shell Oil Company has one of the largest refineries in the United States in St. Louis. Ashland Oil has got one of the largest refineries in the central and eastern United States in Ashland. It makes sense to get gasoline from where it is for whoever gets it. You see, brand loyalty, now Bill may argue with this point, brand loyalty has gone by the board a little bit in the past few years because of the exchange situation. But he does add their additives, each one of them do, to their own.
Yeah, I will take a little difference with that. I think if maybe, in the past 5 years, maybe 8 years, brand loyalty, and when we say brand, we're talking a well-known brand, Shell Oil, Chevron, Marathon, things of this nature. That's what we call a branded product. I think back a few years ago, there was some bad product that got out here on the markets, depressed product, and a lot of people received this product in their cars and it didn't perform well, a cheap gasoline. And this has kind of changed the brand loyalty back again to people want to know what they're putting in their automobile. If you're paying $25,000, $30,000 or $40,000 for an automobile, if I am or could, I would definitely want to know what kind of product I am putting in that. That automobile cannot read. It doesn't know what you're going to put into it. So, you know, I'm going to look at the brand and make sure that I'm getting a product that I know is a reputable product.
There used to be terminals, I know, in Louisville. Are there still terminals in Louisville?
Yes.
Many of them, yes, for all different brands and types, yes.
Right.
And there used to be a terminal, at least one that I know of in Owensboro. Is there still a terminal in Owensboro?
Yes. Yes. There are beginning to be fewer terminals just because of the upkeep and the liabilities and the availability of getting product to your terminals. So there are being fewer terminals. I'm not real familiar with it, but I've heard that Shell has closed their terminal in Nashville and it is now exchanging product again with the Kerr-McGee terminal.
In Nashville.
In Nashville. And I think they've closed their terminal in Louisville also.
Well, this is something interesting to me. Are they asking for you to pull larger loads by closing these, or they just making it not available at certain places?
Just not available at certain places.
Well, insofar as either of you know, or both of you, does all of the gasoline that is finally delivered here to Glasgow come from a terminal in Nashville?
Or Louisville.
Or Louisville.
Yeah, we're located halfway between, so you can, I would say the majority probably comes from the Nashville terminal. And again, probably the reason most of it comes there is because there are more terminals there due to the pipeline, the Williams Brothers pipe, which is the big pipeline serving the east here.
Is there a pipeline in Kentucky?
In Kentucky.
I don't think there is. I know there's one in Indiana and in Tennessee.
I don't know.
I'd wonder.
Like I say, I've never worked the distribution end of this business, so I don't really know that.
I would remind those listening that we would appreciate any calls that you wish to make, and the number to call here is 651-1616. You got two knowledgeable gentlemen here. We'd like some questions for them.
That is the question.
At one time, much of the oil, I think, we've been talking about pipelines, much of the oil, I think, was shipped in by barge to these terminals, both in Nashville and in Louisville, and of course Owensboro. Is there any of that now?
Oh, sure. Yeah, but it's, again...
In my day, it was all barge.
Right.
And the larger barge was available in Louisville than in Nashville because of the smaller river, and consequently the freight was a little less at that time from Louisville than it was Nashville because of the volume situation. But now again, that's a long time ago.
Now let's talk about Bowling Green, for instance. Does their supply, that is the station supply, come from generally the terminals in Nashville, just like Glasgow's?
Yes.
I would say so.
Let's take Cave City. Still come from the terminals in Nashville, or possibly occasionally from Louisville. Now E-Town, probably from Louisville?
Probably Louisville.
All Louisville, yes.
Yeah.
What about Lexington?
You have terminals in Lexington.
Large terminal. Ashland has a large one there.
Right.
And I would say that it comes from Ashland itself, but it may come from Louisville. Then we have a pipeline between Lexington and Louisville, or Ashland. I'm not sure.
You say they may, you don't know.
They may, I don't know.
I think there is. Now I can't, I can't say
I wouldn't
for
doubt
certain,
it because of the volume that's sold there.
Right.
Now my next question. How do you get your gasoline from Nashville or Louisville, from whatever terminal you get it from, to Glasgow? Do you do it by your own trucks, or have you got delivery trucks that are owned and operated by somebody else, or a combination of both?
I use common carrier.
Okay.
Many distributors have their own transports, their own trucks and drivers and so forth. I do not. I use common carrier.
If it's a fair question, are you a jobber or a commission agent?
No, I'm a jobber.
You are a jobber.
Yeah.
Well, now that's the two distinctions in the gasoline business in my day, and again, I have to speak of a good while ago. The two distinctions were a jobber who owns everything, equipment, everything, gasoline, all of it. A commission agent who gets a commission and the company owns everything. So that is the distinction of the two. Distributorships, and I assume it's still that way.
That's correct.
Well, in other words, the jobber is the distributor.
Yes.
They both are.
Right.
They both are.
That's right.
Right. One, a consignee, the prices are set by the parent company, say Ashland, Chevron, Phillips, and they pay a commission to someone to sell and deliver that product, say, to a farmer or a service station that they own.
Okay, but you set your own price.
Yes.
The jobber sets his own price.
Once the product is loaded in Nashville onto that transport truck, it's my product.
Well, now, let's again get back to
That's
Glasgow.
another can of worms.
Yeah, and I knew there were a lot of can of worms here, and the public out there doesn't understand all this
Well,
can of worms.
They should, and
that's one
it's a
reason.
good thing to know.
That's one reason we're here tonight. Now, are most of your well, for instance, I know that you're not the only distributor here in Glasgow. How many are there?
Right here in Glasgow?
Yes. Jobbers like yourself. Is Benedict a distributor?
Yes.
And is he a jobber?
Yes, he is.
All right, now that's Chevron.
Yes.
What about BP?
That is served by a distributor from Bowling Green.
Okay.
Shell is served by a distributor from Bowling Green.
Now, let's go back again. The BP product, is the price controlled then by the company or the distributor, the jobber in Bowling Green? I guess he's a jobber in Bowling Green.
Correct.
And the same thing with Shell. Is he a jobber?
That's correct.
So they control the prices there.
They control the prices? No. They can tell you what they'll sell it for. But I don't say
Suggested
that,
retail.
right. But I don't think they control the price.
Well, okay, but anyhow, they fix their own price.
That's correct.
Just like you do.
That's correct.
But they sell that gasoline to Joe Dokes in the service station.
I know.
And he resells it.
I know. I was going to get to
All right,
that,
all
but
right.
that's fine. Go ahead and elaborate.
Well, I can't elaborate anymore, really, because it is not a control that the company has or didn't have when I was in it. It was what he wants to sell it for, but they can make a suggested price, and it's to the key of the whole situation. It's back to supply and demand.
But the jobber, regardless of whether he's here in Glasgow or whether he's in Bowling Green or Timbuktu, as long as he's a jobber, he controls the price in the sense that what he's going to sell it for.
That's correct.
To the dealer.
To the dealer, but he can't control what the dealer charges, of course, but he can suggest what the dealer will charge. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, we were talking a moment ago about the commissioned agent,
Okay.
where the price is controlled by the company itself. Have we got any of those in Glasgow?
The only one that I know of, and Bill can correct me here because they're competitors of his, and he'll certainly know, is the Ashland agent here. Is the only one that I know of that is a commission agent or a consignee. You know of others?
No, that's the only one I know.
Maxie Combs down here at Haywood would be a jobber.
He is I don't know their arrangements, but he buys from Bay Law Company. He's supplied product by Bay Law Company.
Semi-jobber.
Sub-jobber,
okay,
right.
sub-jobber. Okay.
True.
Now, for instance, the station down there on Broadway, just below Main and on the left there, I forget the name of it.
Delta or something like that, isn't it?
Scott Market, is that what you're...
Are you talking about the old brown ice
Old
cream
Brown
company?
Ice Cream Company place.
Chappie knows what you're talking about. I think it's a Delta out of Nashville.
Is that what it is? Scott
think
Market,
it
is that what they're talking
Scott's
about?
Maybe
Market, that's
Scott,
what I'm
yeah.
talking
Okay,
about.
well,
All
that's Consumers has bought that, and they're either located, it's a jobbership, either in Knoxville or Nashville, I don't know where.
I assume they're salaried employees, wouldn't you?
Yes,
And
right.
that company, whoever it is, would set the price because it's their service station and their gasoline.
Well, now that leads me into something else before we get down to some other things here. You've got more and more stations. As a matter of fact, I'm about to decide they're in majority where it's a combination of filling station and a combination store and so forth and so on. And there are two here in town, and I assume they are yours, Bill.
Yes.
I mean, two Phillips 66, and I assume they are yours.
That's correct.
And again, insofar as prices and so forth are concerned, you control them. In other words, is it your filling station and your store, or is there a split between the two?
No, those are mine. I own them. I control all the prices.
And I assume that would be true of the Shell stations, that you're seeing more and more of them where it's a combination, or do you know?
Well, no, that really isn't the case with Shell. Theirs are dealer, they have theirs leased to individuals. In my Phillips 66 Travelers Food Plazas, those are employees of Winegar Oil Company. Whereas the Shell distributor out of Bowling Green has leased that piece of property to John Doe to operate as he either collects rental from him and plus makes a profit on the gasoline that he sells to John Doe, the dealer.
I see.
You wouldn't think that it is consigned in any way on surface.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it might be consigned, yeah.
No,
but
what I'm asking is it the jobber's gasoline or is it John Doe's gasoline that he's selling, would you think?
well, it's John Doe's gasoline because he is responsible for it, I'm sure, when it goes into the ground at the location that he has
Well, it's consigned,
leased
yeah. Okay.
from the distributorship in Bowling Green.
Again, Bobby,
Yeah.
so the public generally will understand, again, explain what you mean by consignment. Of course, you can have consignment not only in gasoline, but other types of products and goods and do all the time. But just explain what you mean by consignment.
Consignment, we didn't use the term much. We used commission agent.
But same thing.
Yes, the same thing. My job, the whole time I was with Ashland, was supervising a number of bulk plants in central Kentucky, and every one of those were commission agents, and Ashland owned everything in all of them. And they got a certain percentage of the consigned merchandise, oils, greases, lubricants, tires, or whatever it might have been. And that has changed in the last few years where there are not too many of those. And that's another can we can open up in a few minutes because of the restrictions on underground tanks that there is today with EPA and other governmental regulators. But I only dealt, and a jobber was my competitor. And the price that the jobber made, we had to compete with our commission agents, or they couldn't live. Clear as mud?
It's clear as mud. Now I'm going to ask you a $64,000 question.
Okay, it's about what I got in the bank.
Since you're retired and so forth, and
Not subject to-
we'll talk about what happened when you were still there and so
All right.
forth, and not necessarily what's going on now. But you said you had to meet the competition, which I can understand. Did what did you do about meeting the competition? Did you just meet it, or did you try to set it lower? Or, in other words, what I'm getting at, how much competition actually was there at that time? We're talking about 15 years ago. How much competition was there in determining the price of gasoline at the stations in this area where you were working as far as the consumer was concerned?
Well, you and I can talk about not only 15, but we can talk about 30.
That's correct.
And we might even go further than that. But let's go back a little bit. And I have remembered paying $19.9 for gasoline. Now, this was the beginning of what we termed gas wars. You remember the big signs that they'd have out, gas war, and selling gasoline at these cheap prices? Well, that was the very starting of that little 9 in the pricing of gasoline, is when they had that $19.9. That put it under 20 cents a gallon.
Yeah, I remember when it was 20 cents before they started the 1990. It was 20 cents a gallon everywhere.
When some fella down the street puts his gasoline 2 cents. Now, back in those days, it only took 1 or 2 cents to make a difference. Today, it takes more than that, obviously. But this man would put his gasoline down 2 cents below ours, and a big sign out, gas war. The other flocked to him. He's not going to do that to me. I'm not going to make my 5 cents. I'm going to make 4 cents. So I put mine down. Here it goes. Just the ball starts snowballing, and you've seen a lot of them happen. Now, I don't think that's happening today. He can speak for that a lot more. But we lived through that. We had to have something that would combat that. In my last few years, we had what we called a TPA, Temporary Price Allowance. Everybody's got some numbers and some letters. We would give a small TPA to our dealer in order for him to combat the man down the street who was selling it for less. Along would come his supplier. He'd give him a little bit more TPA, and there we go again. We're talking about some years ago. I hope it never happens again.
But normally, was the price the same or different insofar as the majority of stations in a given town was concerned?
What they call a tank wagon price. Do you still have a tank wagon price in most localities, Bill?
Well, it's really not relevant anymore because most of the product is brought in by transport. So, you know,
we call it a tank wagon.
You don't have tank wagons delivering to your large stations.
But that most people held to a tank wagon price of that era, well, of that area, I mean.
Which resulted in the same price for a given quality of product, more or less.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
It's just competition.
Now, Bill, is that generally true today?
Yes, it is. You know, I don't know of any other business where we stick the price out on the street of the major item that we have to sell. Every day we post it right out there for the motoring public, everybody to see. This is our price. So you got to look at your competition. What's their price?
So if Chevron changes it and lowers a little bit, then you can see it. And again, I understand where we're coming from. There's no meetings and so forth for you all to determine the price. Although there are some people who claim that, you know.
Oh, you get credit for it.
You get credit for it, but I understand that, and I'm not trying to show that, but I am trying to show how it is that you end up with more or less the same price, and the way you do that, you notice your competition, and when you see your competition has lowered its price, you usually meet it.
Sure.
Now, let's reverse it before we take this call-in question here. We've got one. Let's reverse it. If he goes up, then what happens?
Well, if I'm going to go up.
If he goes, if X, your competitor goes up, you're going to go up.
If this competitor is what I look at as a factor in the market, okay, if it's in my trade area, yes, 2.5 miles from my location, and it's a comparable outlet, appearance-wise and what have you, and if he goes up, yes, I'm going to try and support him and go up.
I understand we have a call-in.
I wanted to find out. I realize that all gasoline is unleaded, but when you drive up to have your tank filled, should you use regular unleaded, plus unleaded, or supreme unleaded? And this is for an 8-cylinder car. And why would that be recommended?
Bill, I think that's one for you to answer.
I think she said it was an 8-cylinder automobile.
Yes.
There's very few automobiles on the road today are being made that will not operate on regular unleaded gasoline, 87 octane. I think all owners' manuals of new automobiles calls for an 87 octane, unless you get into a high performance engine, maybe this new Cadillac they advertising so much about with the Winston engine or whatever it is, 400 horsepower or what have you. That would probably need a 92 octane or a premium gasoline.
Now, I'll add to the question. Will the added octane, say the 92, will that make that 8-cylinder motor, that's not the big one you were talking about, or even a 6-cylinder motor, perform better?
Octane is only a label given to gasoline, which means ability to resist knock, or not to ping. It's research plus motor divided by 2, and that's how you get an octane number. This is set by the government. Will it make it operate better? At times it will. If you've got high humidity, your automobile is going to run better. If it's a windy, dry day, your automobile is not going to perform as well. So you can't say the gasoline you put in today made it run better. What was the weather like when you're running that car in? Are you tolling anything? Many factors enter into it.
I realize that, but if you've got bad weather conditions, will the higher octane make it operate better?
Premium unleaded gasolines contain more detergents, which are good for your automobile, and higher octane.
Let me speak as a consumer, excuse me, instead of a gasoline man. From November to May, I use half and half in my own car. And the reason I do that is because of the weather conditions, as he just mentioned. And I think it operates better. Maybe there, but it still works.
Well, as a consumer, I do this similar thing, except from November to May, I use the higher octane, and I mix it in the summertime.
Okay.
Now, I may be wasting money, but
No, I've never heard of you.
in my head, but
Well, you know, the premium gasoline and the unleaded plus gasoline do contain more additives, which are better for your automobile. But, you know, like I say, 95% of the automobiles on the road today will run just fine on 87 octane. If your car does not ping, or is not hard to start, or does not do what you call dieseling, or continues to run after you shut it off. Have you ever heard of a car, you pull into the parking space and you shut it off and it continues to run, it's dieseling?
I've had to do that.
Well, that is caused by a buildup, a carbon buildup on the piston walls, and it's continuing to burn after you've shut the ignition off. By using a higher octane, that burns off of there quicker. That will help reduce dieseling. If you don't have any of these factors, then there's no reason in the world that 87 octane ought to be just fine in your automobile.
He's right on the money. I think more people are confused about octanes than they are about price. They think octane means quality. It does not mean that the higher the octane, the better quality gasoline. It's on the paying situation, as you mentioned.
Let's go back to the terminals and getting the gasoline from the terminals to you as a jobber and to the other jobbers. I take it that from what you've already said that you have an independent carrier that delivers it from the Phillips 66 terminal in Nashville to you. Now, does the same carrier, for instance, deliver to Bowling Green, or do you know?
Oh, yes.
Same carrier delivers to Bowling Green, Cave City, maybe not E-Town because that might come out of Louisville, or do you know about that?
Well, the carrier I use doesn't deliver out of Louisville, but I mean they could. You know.
Now, is there a variation in the cost insofar as what you have to pay for gasoline delivered to you here in Glasgow and what the jobber in Bowling Green would have to pay?
Yes, there's a difference. It's really not a large difference. You're probably looking at anywhere from a half a cent a gallon on down to no variation, really.
Is there a difference in the cost insofar as delivery is concerned between Glasgow and Cave City?
Probably not. There's an additional cost, okay, if we call the transport and they take a load to Edmonton, it costs more to get the product to Edmonton than it does to Glasgow. It costs more to get the product to Tompkinsville than it does to Glasgow.
Yeah.
You know, the further away from the terminal you go, the more cost you have of transportation cost.
You're still not talking about more than a half a cent, though, would you?
No.
Difference.
No, half a cent will cover the freight. You know, the difference in the freight, and we'll
Yeah.
cover the freight from Nashville to here. I'll tell you, my freight cost is 2.5 cents a gallon to get product delivered in.
Now, my next question. Insofar as Phillips 66 is concerned, is their price per gallon the same for Bowling Green and Glasgow?
Yes. The companies price their product at the terminal.
At the terminal?
Right.
Okay.
The price at the Nashville terminal for Phillips 66 is $1. I don't care if you come from Lexington to Nashville to get it. That product, you're going to pay Phillips 66 $1 for it at the terminal.
Now, for what grade are you talking about there?
Well, I'm using $1.
You're just using that as an example.
As an
Okay.
example, you know.
Okay.
Let me say,
I'm with you.
gasoline, my cost on gasoline changes daily, every day. And in tight situations, I have seen it change 3 and 4 times a day, my cost.
Well,
And that's all.
I can understand that the price in crude changes
Absolutely.
and on the market daily.
The world situation.
The world
wasn't it?
situation and so forth. I understand that. And then, of course, I've forgotten how long ago it was, but it hadn't been too long ago since there were some refineries that were out in Louisiana for a long period of time. And, of course, that had some effect on the supply.
Right.
I realize those variables.
Right. Right now, product is a little tight, and the price has been going up due to the refineries are doing what you call a turnaround. They are now making summer gasoline and getting it into the pipelines for our distribution. In cities like Nashville, Memphis, Knoxville, Louisville, you have to market a product now with a 9-pound reed vapor pressure. This is government that says this is what you must have in that area.
Well, now, that brings up another matter that I'll ask you a question about. Do the same refineries, of course they may change the products they're making if they do, but do the same refineries make heating oil, for instance, and diesel? Mm-hmm. It's all the same refineries that manufacture all these various products.
Right.
That's correct, is it not?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And then, depending on the season of the year and so forth, they change the quantities, the volume of each,
Right.
based again on demand that is
Right.
needed. But of course that can affect the change in the amount of gasoline that is available
Right.
at a given time.
Right.
All right. I take it again, but let's be sure about it. I take it again that the price usually from Terminal X, which may be Shell or Chevron, and Terminal Phillips 66 is roughly the same insofar as the cost at the terminal in Nashville is concerned.
Yes. You're probably within 3/4 of a cent. All these companies stay that close together. It's that competitive that they must stay that close together on pricing. They must price that competitively or their product doesn't move.
Now, I take it again that the way they find out about it is from the various jobbers.
No, they don't. Phillips 66 never calls me up and says, hey, what price should we price our product?
No,
in
no, I'm
Nashville?
talking about
That-
they find out. I'm talking about from the jobbers. They can find out what the competition, for instance, Chevron may be charging at the terminal, or how do they go about finding that out?
There are companies, Computer Petroleum Company is one that comes to name. That's all they do is track each and every company's price.
And they do that through the jobbers.
Yes.
They have to. They
Right.
have to do that through the jobbers.
Right, right.
That's what I'm getting
Yeah,
at.
absolutely. Right.
Okay.
A number of trade journals that really keep up with all of that and right on top of it.
Okay. Now, so far, am I correct in concluding here that the big differential insofar as cost is concerned, the dealers here and dealers in Bowling Green, dealers in Lexington or somewhere else, is in the cost of getting it from the terminal to the jobber? Is that correct, or?
No, I don't guess I understand what you're asking me there.
All right. If the prices at the terminals are within 1/2 or 3/4 of a cent,
Uh-huh.
and if there is a differential in cost, and I think we brought out that there are some differentials, the farther away you are from the terminal,
Right.
the more it costs.
Right.
But small.
But, yeah, but small. But is there any other factor that affects the differential in the price to the jobber? And again, I'm talking about the jobber and not the
Right.
ultimate station
Right.
agent.
Uh-huh.
But is there any other differential in the cost to the jobber other than the cost of getting it from the terminal to the jobber?
No, not that I'm, no.
Okay. Now, will we concede, or will the two of you concede, that there is a differential in the cost of gasoline in Glasgow and Bowling Green a lot of times? Also, there's sometimes 2 or 3 cents differential, I think, between here and Cave City.
Sure.
Will you concede that?
Oh, sure.
But not always.
Not
I
always.
saw Cave City higher than Glasgow.
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand it's not always.
Okay.
Now, I think what the people of Glasgow want to know, and I think there's much confusion about this, is why the differential?
All right. Let me try. In Glasgow, it cost the same amount of money for me to construct what I have, the two stores that I have constructed here, costs the same amount to construct that in Glasgow as it does in Bowling Green, or out here on I-65. Now, if I can sell $300,000 a month through that same building in Bowling Green versus $70,000 a month through that same facility in Glasgow, yes, I can make a difference in my price. I can make 4 cents a gallon on my 300,000 gallons that I sell in Bowling Green, but if I'm only going to sell 70,000 of it here, then I can't sell it and make 4 cents a gallon and still have the same construction cost that I would have if I was in Bowling Green. My operations are the same. I still have to have employees on duty. I still have to pay the electric plant board my utilities, which are, you know, it's the same as, I don't think, now Billy Ray may come in here and shut me down, but I rather doubt that R.R. Donnelly's or Eaton's pays the same amount for kilowatt that I pay at my stores. And that's strictly a volume situation.
So you're saying, and I understand you and I follow you, but you're saying that the price differential is based on volume that the jobber sells, or the volume that the independent, or I mean the dealer, not the dealer, but the station operator sells. And I would assume from what you're saying also that a station probably on the interstate, and a heavily traveled interstate such as I-65 and I-75 and so forth and so on, would have more volume than you're going to have in Glasgow.
Right, right. There's another factor that takes place in Glasgow, which is kind of unique. In Glasgow, there are only small business people, such as myself, the Benedicts, the Browning Oils, and what have you. There is not a large chain that markets in Glasgow, Barron County. There's not the Super Americas or the big companies that would have 300 units. If I was large enough and had 300 units scattered all out throughout the eastern half of the United States, why sure, I could say, all right, I'm going to capture the Glasgow market. I'll sell gasoline at 5 cents below my cost, and I'll make a profit at my other 295 units scattered throughout the United States. But that's not the case here in Glasgow. We're all small businessmen. Everything we do, we have to try and generate a profit from. If not, we can't be here tomorrow.
Again, I understand you, and again, in some respects, it gets back to volume, because in the example you're giving, you're using the volume at one place to compete at another, and I follow you. I understand we have another call-in question. We're grateful for them.
Yes, I'd like to ask how much a gallon of gas costs without taxes.
Who wants to give a ballpark figure?
I refuse to answer.
You refuse to answer?
I don't think it's, yeah, I don't think.
You got any idea of what?
No, it's a fair question, though, to what are state and federal in Kentucky now?
There's 29.9 cents tax on a gallon of gasoline sold in Glasgow.
Well, the reason I ask, I noticed it on a pump when I was in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and it's 36 cents down there. So
right. We have 15
we're
cents.
less.
We have 15-cent state tax. There's 14.1 federal tax, and then you got 0.004 Superfund cost, federal cost again, in on that.
I don't think it's possible to get an answer as to cost of gasoline ex tax.
Well, you know, I'm not going to tell you
No,
what I
if you
pay
knew.
for a gallon of gasoline. I think that's
No.
I don't blame you.
No,
I
no, I don't
understand that's you got a matter of trade secrets
That's
and a lot of
exactly
other
right.
things involved
Well,
here. I understand
you
that.
know,
I understand that.
Can I help out a little bit? I mean, give my opinion on what he talked about volume
Yes.
on your question.
Yes.
I think it's volume. I think he's right 40%, but I think 60% is competition in Glasgow or anywhere else. Do you remember about 2 weeks ago seeing a picture in the Courier of a service station in New Albany that has just opened up and was having a liter, and the name of it was Bigfoot, and he sold gasoline for $69.9, and it showed the cars that you couldn't get on the street. Now, this is something, nobody else in that section needed any gasoline for a day or two. The competition is got to be the control here or anywhere else.
Well, are you saying with that there's more competition in Bowling Green and more competition in Cave City where prices are lower than they are here a big part of the time? Are you saying that there's more competition there than there is here?
No, I guess really what I'm saying is that the competition does not try to fight as bad, and they're satisfied with what they've got instead of trying to get a little more of the market.
yeah, there's only so many gallons of gasoline that's going to be sold in Glasgow. There's only so many gallons. I mean, it'll pick up in the summertime, but you know, you can either try and sell a little bit of it, or you can try and sell all of it and not make any money.
We used to have a term that we called diluting the market. A new station opened up that diluted the market that much in a given area, because as he said, there's only so much sold.
Well, it took away so much volume. It took away volume from
Right.
somebody else. You're getting back again to your,
Right.
You're taking
to
it.
your volume.
I went to Bowling Green today just to check on some prices of other items, okay?
Good.
I went down to Bowling Green to a grocery store and checked some prices there randomly. I came back here to a grocery store and then checked them against the price that I found in Bowling Green. At the one store, their milk in Bowling Green was $1.95 for 2% milk. In Glasgow, it was $1.99 a gallon. Their Kellogg's Frosted Flakes in the 20-ounce in Bowling Green was $3.35. In Glasgow, that same Kellogg's Frosted Flakes was $3.55. There's only so many Kellogg's Frosted Flakes you're going to sell in Barron County in a week. Iced tea, Lipton iced tea, 3-ounce size, okay? It was $1.99 in Bowling Green. That same store had this right here on the shelf for $3.29. A 25-pound bag of Alpo dog food was $9.49 in Bowling Green. It was $10.99 here in Glasgow.
Again, are you attributing that to volume, I gather? The price differential in the stores?
Yes.
Okay.
That and you know, that's
I
what
got
else you going to go with?
I got a thing about buying Cokes. I will not buy Cokes 12, and I will not pay over $3. Now you look at the prices sometime on Cokes, Pepsis, and all the others, how that fluctuates. I haven't heard a soul say anything about it, about anybody fixing a price or anything else.
Well, I understand where you're coming from there. It seems that the gasoline people here in Glasgow have been singled out in some respects for
Sure.
criticism about the price and the claim that that the dealers and the jobbers get together and are fixing the price.
And to say that it doesn't make any difference to the ultimate dealer, whether it's 5 cents a gallon or $5 a gallon, that's not right. he is making a living. He's making a living. It has to be two.
But another critical question in this equation, it seems to me, are you losing volume by the price differential with people going to Bowling Green?
Sure.
Or being in Bowling Green on some other business?
Sure.
Are you losing volume?
Yes.
Now, how much?
Well, when before I built the new one on North Ray Street, we did one of these hired this company and to tell us how much business we would do on that location. Okay, they take a 2.5 mile radius from that station, and they determine what the competition is doing, how many households there are, and it's very scientific. There was a 5% leakage of gasoline out of that area. In other words, there's 5% more gasoline available in that area than what is being sold, so it's going someplace else to buy their gasoline. 5%.
Now, with a 5% increase in your volume, I gather then that wouldn't be sufficient for you to meet the competition based on Glasgow cost.
Oh.
How much increase in volume would it take, or have you ever thought about that?
Well, sure, I think about it every day, well, how many more clients would you have to pull in as an attorney if you reduced yours?
Well, I've never figured that.
You haven't?
No, I haven't.
Well, how do you determine your price per hour?
How do I determine my price per hour?
Yeah.
As far as not necessarily from competition, but based on experience and other matters of that kind, and results obtained and so forth. The
quality?
The legal profession is a little bit different from business. You're not dealing with apples and oranges and gasolines and products. You're dealing with a surface, and that's different.
But I called 4 today and asked what the hourly rate was, and all 4 were exactly the same.
You mean attorneys?
Yes.
Well, there is a certain amount of competition there. I'll agree with that, but it's not necessarily based on volume.
No. And either is ours. We have to make a profit. In Bowling Green today, the lowest price I saw was $95.9. Today, I'm $1.29, 7 cents. All right, if I'm going to give up 7 cents a gallon to meet Bowling Green's price, and if I'm selling 60,000 gallons a month and making a nickel on it now, and I'm going to lower my price 7 cents and lose 2 cents, I don't believe I'd be around very long.
That's really what it amounts to, I'm sure.
I agree with you unless you increase your volume tremendously. I can
Well, if I'm selling it 2 cents below my cost, I don't care how much I increase it. I'm going to have to get a bigger truck to haul it in and go a little faster.
Again, do you think that the person that had that price of 90-some cents there in Bowling Green is selling below cost?
No, they're not today, but I have seen them below cost, 2 to 3 cents.
Don't you think they are taking a lesser margin, though?
Oh,
well,
yes.
no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But again, that gets back to the to the volume.
Right. I can tell you they're making less than 4 cents.
Less than 4 cents a day. Back in my day, 4 was the maximum, but it's changed.
Yeah, they're making less than 4 cents a gallon.
You mean they're making less? Not less.
And all of his expenses come out.
Okay. They're making less than 4 cents a gallon based on their cost.
That's correct.
That's right.
Not necessarily in taking into consideration the cost of their employees and other things.
No, that's their gross profit is less than 4 cents.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, it's less than 4 cents.
Okay, that's
right.
I wanted us to be sure that we understood where we were coming from.
That is gross profit before he ever pays Billy Ray for electric or his employees for the fine job that they do. or the restrooms that he cleans up, and the paper towels he puts out there for them to clean their windshield, and the windshield solvent they use, and he has to pay for all that out of that 4 cents.
Now, do the jobbers, if this is a fair question, and you can either answer or refuse to answer this, but earlier in the program we talked about the jobbers making a suggested retail price to the station owners. Are you still doing that? I mean, the jobbers still doing that?
No, I do not. They're as smart as I am. They can see what the price is up the street. All they have to do is look out their window and they can see what the price is, and they know whether or not they want to sell it for that price and make a profit, or do something different with it. I do not give them a suggestion.
And if they're not selling much gasoline, they know they need to sell it.
That's their...
How much time you got?
I don't know how much time, a minute or two?
I want
1
30
minute?
seconds myself. I get something out of this.
All right. What do you want?
No, I'm just at the end of the program.
You're going to wait till after the end of the program. I'm with you, Bobby. Well, we're going to end the program here rather quickly. We've only got about, I would gather, about 30 seconds left. And first of all, I want to thank each of you for being here. I think you have explained a lot of things that the people generally don't understand about the price of gasoline in Glasgow, and how you arrive at it, and why it is what it is. And I've got one final question, and that is, do you occasionally see price differentials that last for as long as even a day between the local filling stations?
Yes. I noticed on my way home this evening that one of the local competition had gone down 3 cents this afternoon.
Maybe they knew we were going to have this program tonight.
Well, that could be. But now why they went down 3 cents, I don't know, because since the first of the month, my cost has gone up 5 cents.
Do you think that generally the other stations in town are going to go down 3 cents?